In-depth analysis of Ludwig Wittgenstein, The Duty of Genius from the silence of logic to the symphony of language. The lonely inquiry of a genius, he once said, what can be said at all can be said clearly, and whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. This famous quote from Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus not only marked the starting point of 20th century philosophy but also encapsulated the contradictions and quests of Ludwig Wittgenstein's life. As one of the greatest philosophers of the 20th century, why did Wittgenstein abandon vast family wealth, plunge into the chaos of war, and struggle painfully in the academic halls of Cambridge? How did his philosophy shift from the cold framework of logic to the warm exploration of everyday language? Remonks Ludwig Wittgenstein, The Duty of Genius paints a nuanced portrait of this complex genius, revealing how his thought was born from solitude and passion. This biography is not just a history of philosophy but a mirror reflecting the depths and brilliance of human nature. Today, let us step into Wittgenstein's world to explore how he used philosophy to probe the meaning of life. Wittgenstein's life reads like a dramatic saga. Born into a wealthy Viennese family, he chose to leave home. He wrote the groundbreaking Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus but later abandoned philosophy to become an elementary school teacher. He penned philosophical notes in the trenches of World War I, yet faced a spiritual crisis in peacetime. His philosophy is divided into early and late periods. The early period, represented by Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus sought to clarify the relationship between language and the world through logic. The later period, centered on philosophical investigations emphasized the everyday use of language and its social context. His ideas not only shaped logical positivism and analytic philosophy but also deeply influenced linguistics, psychology, and interdisciplinary studies like artificial intelligence. Yet, Wittgenstein's allure lies not only in his philosophical achievements but in how he saw truth amid personal struggles. Why did a wealthy heir choose such an extreme path in life? Why did his philosophy spark a storm in the 20th century? Through extensive letters, diaries, and recollections from friends and family, Remonk reconstructs Wittgenstein's inner world. The biography begins with his childhood, tracing his family background, education, war experiences, and intellectual clashes with contemporaries, revealing a soul both brilliant and fragile. Wittgenstein's philosophy was not abstract theory but the crystallization of his dialogue with the world and himself. To interpret this biography, we must not only understand his ideas but also delve into his emotions and struggles, exploring how philosophy became his weapon against loneliness. Vienna's piano and shadows. Wittgenstein was born in 1889 into an immensely wealthy Viennese family. His father, Karl Wittgenstein, was an industrial magnate of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and their palatial home hosted cultural giants like Brahms and Klimt. Yet, behind this wealth and glory lay an oppressive family atmosphere. The Wittgenstein family was known for its strictness, with Karl imposing near unbearable expectations on his children to become elites, while neglecting their emotional needs. Tragically, 3 of Wittgenstein's brothers took their own lives, casting a pall of repression and sorrow over the family. Remonk writes, Wittgenstein's childhood was spent amidst the interplay of piano music and shadows. This environment shaped his sensitive and rebellious character, planting the seeds for his later rejection of material wealth. As a young boy, Wittgenstein displayed astonishing talent, building simple mechanical models by age 10. He studied engineering at the Vienna Technical Institute and later pursued aeronautics at the University of Manchester. However, his interest in technology gradually gave way to deeper philosophical questions. In 1908, he read Russell and Whitehead's Principia Mathematica struck by the rigor of its logic, and began pondering the relationship between language and truth. This shift was no accident but an attempt to escape his family's shadow and find personal meaning. Lunt describes his early inner struggles. Wittgenstein sought a truth beyond material wealth, as if only this could free him from his family's curse. His family background also influenced his philosophical style. His early thought pursued absolute logical clarity, mirroring his family's obsession with order. His later shift toward the ambiguity and context of language reflected his rebellion against rigid rules. For instance, his sister Marguerite recalled how Wittgenstein often played the piano alone at home, immersed in music's emotional world, which resonated with his later theory of language games. Music's fluidity and ambiguity led him to see language not as a static logical structure but as a dynamic social practice. This connection between family and thought is key to understanding Wittgenstein's philosophy. His family not only shaped his character but deeply influenced the philosophical questions he chose to pursue. Growing up in Vienna at the cultural peak of the late 19th century, Wittgenstein was immersed in a city that birthed Freud, Klimt, and Mahler. The Wittgenstein family's mansion frequently hosted concerts, where Brahms' piano music mingled with heated family debates, fostering a unique intellectual atmosphere. Lunt notes that Wittgenstein once said, "Music is the starting point of my philosophy." He sensed a collision of order and emotion in music, an experience later reflected in his thoughts on language structure. For example, the logical precision of Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus resembles the exactness of a Bach fugue. In contrast, philosophical investigations embraces the fluidity and diversity of language, akin to the freedom of improvisational jazz. The family's tragic nature also infused Wittgenstein's philosophy with a profound inquiry into existence. His three brothers Hans, Rudolf, and Kurt died by suicide, unable to bear their father's crushing expectations. Hans, a musical prodigy, clashed with his father over refusing a business career and drowned himself. Rudolf, tormented by his sexuality, died by poison. Kurt, overwhelmed by mental anguish after the war, shot himself. These tragedies taught Wittgenstein that wealth and success could not fill the void within. In his diary, he wrote, "Happiness is not about possessing but about becoming." This pursuit of becoming drove him to renounce his family's fortune and seek meaning beyond material wealth. Imagine a Viennese artist named Sophia, raised in the same cultural milieu, trying to express her inner conflicts through painting. Sophia found that rigid academic techniques could not capture her emotions, so she turned to abstract art, using flowing lines to depict life's impermanence. Her journey mirrors Wittgenstein's. His early attempt to frame language with logic gave way to embracing the dynamic complexity of language games. His family's shadow led him to question absolute truths, pushing him to explore the intricate ties between language and life. Wittgenstein's childhood was also subtly shaped by Vienna's anti-Semitism. Though his family had converted to Christianity, their Jewish heritage still left them marginalized in social circles. This identity conflict made Wittgenstein acutely sensitive to belonging, later reflected in his philosophical focus on forms of life. He once told a friend, "I never feel I fully belong anywhere." This sense of alienation drove him to explore how language connects people to the world, becoming the core of his philosophy. 3. The philosophical spark at Cambridge in 1911. Wittgenstein arrived at Cambridge University to study under Bertrand Russell, beginning his philosophical journey. Russell was initially impressed, calling him a genius among geniuses, but worried about his emotional intensity and extreme pursuits. Their relationship was fraught with tension. Wittgenstein revered Russell's logic but frequently challenged his views. During one heated debate, Wittgenstein passionately asked, "Do you think I'm an idiot?" Russell calmly replied, "No, but I hope you can prove you're not." This exchange epitomized their dynamic and spurred Wittgenstein's philosophical growth. At Cambridge, Wittgenstein befriended Maurice Keynes and others, joining the Intellectual Apostles Society. His brilliance shone quickly, but his aloof personality distanced him from others. He often secluded himself in his room, grappling with logical problems, seeking mathematical precision to resolve philosophical puzzles. By 1914, he began drafting Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus aiming to build a system where language mirrors the world. He proposed, the world is the totality of facts, not of things. Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus 1.1. This idea sought to describe reality through logical language, influencing later logical positivism. To illustrate, imagine a linguist named Martin studying Shakespeare's plays, noticing that the meaning of words shifts with context. Martin tried to codify dialogue with logical formulas but found they couldn't capture emotional nuances. This echoes Wittgenstein's early question, can language be perfectly precise? His answer then was yes, believing propositions were logical pictures of the world, revealing truth through clear expression. Yet, this pursuit of a perfect logical system hinted at the limitations he would later address. Wittgenstein's Cambridge years were not only the start of his philosophy but also the beginning of his complex relationship with academia. His debates with Russell often lasted late into the night. With Russell writing, Wittgenstein's passion is like a fire, exhausting me. This intensity stemmed from his relentless pursuit of philosophical clarity through logical language. Yet, Cambridge's academic atmosphere also stifled him. He despised its formalities, believing many discussions were superficial. For instance, he criticized Cambridge philosophers for fixating on formal logic while ignoring real-world issues. Wittgenstein's philosophical approach already showed its uniqueness. He rejected traditional lectures, favoring direct dialogue with students to spark thought. In one session, he asked students to define time, and when they offered abstract answers, he countered, "How do you use time in everyday life?" This foreshadowed his later language game theory, emphasizing meaning from use, not definition. His student Frank Ramsey, a prodigy in mathematics and philosophy, was deeply inspired. Ramsey noted, "Wittgenstein showed me that philosophy is not a set of answers but an art of questioning." To clarify his early thought, imagine a logician named Carl trying to describe all mathematical theorems with symbolic language but finding some intuitions informalizable. Carl's struggle mirrors Wittgenstein's. Logic's elegance couldn't capture the richness of human experience. In Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus Wittgenstein sought a perfect language system but felt empty upon its completion. He told Moore, after writing this book, "I feel like an empty shell." This emptiness stemmed from his higher expectations for philosophy. It should not only explain the world but transform life. At Cambridge, Wittgenstein was also influenced by the Vienna Circle, though he never formally joined. Through correspondence with Slick and others, he discussed logical positivism but found their scientism too narrow. This disagreement prompted him to rethink language's boundaries, laying the groundwork for his later philosophical shift. His Cambridge years were both a period of intellectual gestation and the start of his struggle with himself and academia. 4. The soul's trial and war. The trenches of World War I were not only a physical trial for Wittgenstein, but a crucible for his soul. In 1914, at age 25, he volunteered for the Austro-Hungarian army, serving as an artillery observer and field signaler. Monk writes, "War pushed Wittgenstein's philosophical thought to extremes, as he sought the meaning of existence amid gunfire and death." The harshness and uncertainty of trench life led him to question his early faith in logic's absolute power while deepening his exploration of morality and human limits. In the trenches, Wittgenstein carried a notebook, jotting down the core ideas of Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus. He wrote, "The meaning of a proposition lies in its logical connection to the world." Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus 2.1. He aimed to construct a clear world picture through logical language, believing language could fully map reality. Yet, the chaos of war and the fragility of life showed him that logic couldn't encompass all human experience. After witnessing a comrade's death in artillery fire, he wrote in his diary, "Death revealed the limits of language. Philosophy must touch what cannot be said." This experience planted the seeds for his philosophical shift. To understand war's impact on Wittgenstein, imagine a young doctor named Eliza working in a WWI field hospital. Elisa tried to address soldiers' pain with scientific diagnoses but found their wounds often transcended the physical, tied to despair over life's meaning. Her struggle mirrors Wittgenstein's. Logic and science, though powerful, couldn't answer existential questions. In his war diaries, Wittgenstein frequently referenced Tolstoy's *A Confession*, drawing spiritual strength to find a moral anchor amid chaos. His philosophy began shifting from pure logical analysis to concerns with ethics and value. After the war, Wittgenstein renounced his vast family inheritance, distributing it to relatives and choosing a simple life. He briefly believed Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus had solved all philosophical problems and left academia to teach in rural Austria. This shocked Russell and others but reflected his deep reflection: what is philosophy's value if it doesn't transform life? War's crucible made him see philosophy not as an abstract game, but as a confrontation with human struggles. In the trenches, Wittgenstein volunteered for the most dangerous tasks, like night reconnaissance and artillery observation, testing his courage by facing death. Monk records a diary entry, "Only in fear can I know who I am." This self-inquiry led him to question whether philosophy could answer life's ultimate questions. War also exposed him to ordinary soldiers, whose simple yet powerful language struck him. One conversation with a soldier named Joseph, who described longing for family in his local dialect, showed Wittgenstein that language's meaning lies in emotional connection, not logical perfection. This insight became central to philosophical investigations. Language is a tool of shared human life, not an abstract system. Post-war, he wrote, "Philosophers should not stand above others but with them." His war diaries also reveal a growing interest in religion. Reading Tolstoy's *A Confession*, he found moral strength. He wrote in a letter, "Tolstoy showed me that faith is not a logical conclusion but a choice of life." This religious sentiment wasn't traditional theology but a deep grappling with life's meaning. The loneliness and fear he felt in the trenches led him to ponder philosophy's ethical dimensions. How do we find meaning in an impermanent world? Imagine a war correspondent named Anna, who, while documenting soldiers' stories, realized the sincerity of language outweighed rhetoric. Anna's shift from objective reporting to capturing soldiers' emotions and beliefs echoes Wittgenstein's philosophical turn. War taught him that philosophy's mission is not to build perfect systems, but to illuminate life's complexities. From silence to speech, Wittgenstein's philosophical career splits into two distinct phases. The early phase, represented by Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus*, pursued logical perfection in language. The later phase, centered on philosophical investigations*, emphasized language's everyday use and social context. Monk describes this shift as a journey from silence to speech, not just a change in method but a reimagining of Wittgenstein's relationship with the world and himself. In the 1920s, Wittgenstein briefly left philosophy to teach in rural Austria, seeking meaning through education. However, the monotony of village life and unruly students left him frustrated. A controversy over disciplining students led to his resignation. This experience showed him that language is not just a logical tool but a bridge between people. He began to see the limits of Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus*. Meaning isn't fixed but depends on context and intent. In 1929, Wittgenstein returned to Cambridge, supported by Keynes, and became a researcher. He engaged students and peers in discussions about language's practical use, developing his language game theory. In philosophical investigations*, he wrote, "The meaning of a word is its use in the language." Philosophical investigations*, section 43. This overturned his earlier static view, likening language to a game with rules varying by context. Imagine a linguist named Martin studying London street slang, finding that a single word's meaning shifts across communities. This led him to Wittgenstein's language games, meaning rises from social practice and context, not fixed structures. Wittgenstein's later philosophy profoundly influenced logical positivism. He debated Vienna Circle members like Schlick and Carnap, rejecting their view of language as a scientific tool. He argued philosophy's task is to clarify language's confusions, not build systems. This shift reshaped philosophy and inspired fields like linguistics, anthropology, and AI. For instance, modern natural language processing, like chat, draws on Wittgenstein's insights into context and meaning. Language's dynamic nature led Wittgenstein to see philosophy's role as revealing its diversity in life, not unifying it. Philosophical investigations reads more like a dialogue than a systematic treatise. He used family resemblance to explain language. Words share features like family members, not a single essence. For example, game spans board games to children's play without one defining trait. Monk writes, Wittgenstein's later philosophy is like a lamp in the fog, illuminating language's complex texture. This thought deeply influenced 20th century cultural studies. Anthropologist Clifford Geertz, inspired by Wittgenstein's language games, saw culture as a web of meaning understood through practice. Wittgenstein's student George Pitcher recalled a class where rules sparked debate, with Wittgenstein asking, is a rule imposed or collectively created? This question shaped Pitcher's ethical studies on the contextual nature of moral norms. Wittgenstein's philosophy also impacted literary criticism. Imagine a literature professor named Isabel analyzing Kafka's novels, finding their meaning shifts with readers' interpretations. Her discussions echoed Wittgenstein's insight: language's meaning is like a river, calm on the surface but turbulent beneath. His later philosophy dismantled traditional views of language, offering a key to understanding communication's complexity. The interweaving of relationships and loneliness. Wittgenstein's philosophical achievements were inseparable from his interactions with contemporaries. But his solitary nature made relationships complex. Monk writes, Wittgenstein craved intimacy yet feared being understood. His relationships with Russell, Keynes, Turing, and others reveal his struggle between intellectual connection and emotional isolation. His teacher-student bond with Russell was the starting point of his philosophical path, but their clashing personalities led to frequent conflicts. Russell admired Wittgenstein's genius but found his intensity overwhelming. In one debate, Wittgenstein stormed out after Russell misunderstood him, later apologizing in a letter, "Our differences are a clash of souls." This dynamic refined Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus and taught Wittgenstein to clarify thought through debate. His friendship with Keynes provided emotional support. Keynes, an economist and Apostles member, funded Wittgenstein's return to Cambridge and stood by him during mental lows. Monk recounts a story from the 1930s. Wittgenstein, sleepless over philosophical doubts, was calmed by Keynes during a walk discussing music and life. This friendship showed Wittgenstein the power of human connection, influencing his later focus on forms of life. Yet, his loneliness persisted. His relationships with students were intense. He demanded independent thought but grew frustrated with misunderstandings. A student named Alan recalled Wittgenstein saying in class, "Philosophy isn't dogma. It teaches you to see the world for yourself." This approach inspired students but kept him at a distance from academia. His loneliness stemmed not only from his personality but also from his relentless pursuit of philosophical purity. He shunned formal philosophy conferences, finding them superficial and lacking genuine truth-seeking. He preferred small discussions with close friends or students in his Cambridge room, shifting from philosophy to music, literature, or religion. For example, he shared his view of Shakespeare, seeing Hamlet's depth in its linguistic ambiguity, aligning with his later language views. His loneliness was also tied to his moral rigor. He told Keynes, "I fear my thoughts being misunderstood, as that betrays truth." This pursuit of purity distanced him from peers but gave his philosophy unique depth. His debates with Turing, for instance, centered on the meaning of mathematical foundations. Turing sought to define computation formally, while Wittgenstein argued that mathematical language depends on human practice. This clash highlighted his wariness of abstract systems. Imagine a philosophy student named Hannah studying Wittgenstein, realizing his loneliness was not weakness but a commitment to intellectual independence. Hannah wrote in her thesis, "Wittgenstein's philosophy teaches us that loneliness is sometimes the path to truth." This insight adds depth to his relationships. His isolation was not just a flaw but a reflection of his philosophical mission. Epilogue: The eternal echoes of philosophy. Wittgenstein died of cancer in 1951, telling a friend, "Tell them I've had a wonderful life." This simple statement encapsulates his complex understanding of life. His philosophy, from the cold logic of Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus to the warm practice of philosophical investigations reshaped 20th century philosophy and offered new ways to understand language, thought, and life. Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus sought to clarify the world through logic, ending in silence to mark language's limits. Philosophical investigations opened up language's infinite possibilities, emphasizing its ties to life. His ideas influenced logical positivism, postmodern philosophy, and remain a source for linguistics, cognitive science, and AI. For example, modern dialogue systems draw on Wittgenstein's insights into context and meaning. His life was itself a philosophical practice. Renouncing wealth, enduring war, and choosing simplicity, he tested his ideas through action. His struggles and solitude show that philosophy is not just academic but a courageous engagement with life. As Monk writes in the Biography's conclusion, Wittgenstein's philosophy was his inquiry into the world and his redemption of himself. His legacy lies not only in his thought's depth but in his relentless pursuit of truth and meaning. Today, amid information overload and loss of meaning, Wittgenstein's philosophy reminds us language is a bridge to the world, but truth often lies in silence. His story inspires us to question bravely, whether in philosophy or life, seeking our own answers through struggle.